Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. I have known Annette Spence since she first started working for our annual conference way back sometime around 2000, 2001. And through the years, I've tried to provide her with a story every now and then to go on a call. She has, of course, interviewed innumerable people, pastors and lay folks and people at events over the years. I thought it would be fun to sort of turn the tables on her today and interview her about how she is working in terms of helping our annual conference get the message out. So I hope you enjoy this interview with Annette Spence. Hi, I'm here today talking with Annette Spence at our conference office. Tell me, what's your job title?
Well, they call me the editor, and that means the editor of the call.
The editor of the call. Mm-hmm. So is that all you do, just work with print journalism?
Not anymore. I started out that way, but now I do social media for the call, and I do an email publication, and we have a couple of print publications now that we do at annual conference. Of course, it's one of our most popular things is the daily newspaper at annual conference, and we do a small little publication, a one-page thing that comes out a couple times a month that just features one of our stories that we call the Call Digest.
I'm in our office, and actually there's a whole box of these annual conference editions here apparently left over from this year. It looked like a good annual conference. I may have to take some of those since I wasn't actually physically there to...
yeah.
That's right, with the broken leg thing, or the broken knee thing. But, so you do the social media. What social media outlets does our annual conference use to help get its story out?
Well, of course, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, we do Instagram. I have another thing that I use from time to time that is called Storify. That's when you'll see a story, for example, at Resurrection that has a lot of other folks commenting on their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram about an event like Resurrection. And so Storify works real well with that because you can pull in commentary and photos from several different places, several different formats, and make a story out of it. In fact, you'll see that a lot of times for the big mainstream newspapers. If you'll see them do some print, and in the middle of it, they'll have some tweets. Some Facebook. They'll use a paid version. Of Storify. Give it a try.
Where do you?
Just go to storify.com.
Well, but for the annual conference, how do?
Well, the way you'll see that is, you won't have to go to storify.com. It's so much. I will share that through the call email publication.
You'll have a link
on Facebook.
And the other things. Okay.
And the last time I probably did that was probably with Resurrection, but sometimes it works with Convocation, a big snow. Anything where you've got a lot of commentary from other places, from Holston Conference people that I can access, it makes a good story.
So you're out there in this modern electronic age, gathering all this data, all this information, but at heart, you're still a print journalist, right?
I like print still, and I still miss that newspaper, and that we did. Well, they did it a long time before I got here, but I've been here for 16 years. I think we stopped it 5 years ago, and I look back at those newspapers and I really miss it. It was a lot of work, but I think we reached people better then.
We actually did a print version at the church when I was in McKendree. We would put one out every other week using, was it the United Methodist Reporter or something that allowed you to send it in and put your stuff on the outside and their stuff on the inside?
And the call was shared that way for the first couple of years of my 16 years here. It was 2 pages out of a 6 to 8 page newspaper, I think, were the call, or maybe 4 pages out of 12 was the call. And I think that's one reason why the annual conference newspaper, the daily on-site newspapers that we do at annual conference at Lake Junaluska are so popular because people really like holding that in their hand.
It's easy to hold. You see a quick glimpse of what happened the day before, but you can also take it back to the local church and say, what happened at the annual conference? Oh, here, read this article.
Sure.
So I can see how that is a popular kind of way to get the message out. When you think about the ministry that you do here, what's the driving force? You say you've been at it 16 years. Mm-hmm. What's the passion within you that burns, that says, I want to do this another day? There's another story I've got to tell. What's the passion there?
It really is a passion, because there have been a lot of times, just like anybody, when I've gotten frustrated and thought I should be doing this somewhere else or for somebody else. And the thing that amazes me is there really is always another story to tell. And it's true that I actually think we're doing the most important thing that there is. There's a lot of bad stories you can tell. Not that I'm always allowed to tell the bad stories, but especially in a time of crisis, which is where it seems like we're at right now, there's always so many things that are happening that need to be shared. To share the gospel and the reason why Holston Conference is still doing, what we're supposed to be doing. So I just feel strongly, for some reason, there's always something else that I need to do, and the list is never. I'm always kind of laughing when somebody says, in case you need filler or in case you have a slow news day. There's actually never a slow news day, ever. Sometimes there's things that you got to do that you don't want to do, but there's always another story to tell. And right now I'm even excited. I think about, we need to do this, we need to do that, and I just finished an issue yesterday, so now I'm like, I always love the day after I finish an issue, because I'll come in and I'll start making a list of all the things I want to do, and I'll never get caught up.
Well, prior to us actually beginning this recording, we were talking ahead of time, and you were talking about some ideas for maybe Hispanic broadcasters, or you're looking for ideas to help spread the word. Share some of those areas that maybe are on the horizon that you think might become a possibility for us.
Well, on the Hispanic ministries, that's a very a personal passion for me. I think that the person I married, that was his passion, Mike Feely, a long time ago, before it might have been Holston Conference passion. But I've worked with some folks, Reverend Daniel Castillo, and we just talked to a lot of people about how we can connect our 10 Hispanic congregations, and with the Espiritu Santo just moving into the connection in Sevierville, we kind of got inspired about, well, how can we get them to how can we help them share information back and forth between their churches so they can feel inspired and motivated, but also how can we lift them up and give them because we do a lot of news here, and if they're Spanish speakers, they're not going to be able to look at a lot of Holston Conference news. And we've been translating a story through the digest a couple of times a month, but I'm not real sure that they're looking at that. So to make a long story short, it would be much more fun and easy maybe for me to do a monthly print newsletter, but what we've come up with is that we may be looking at some sort of Hispanic newscast, and that won't be something that I'll be doing, but I'll be resourcing people and connecting people. And if I've already begun the conversations with several people in Holston Conference about to do that.
What other events on the horizon might be percolating up in terms of communications? Where do you see the future of communications going for an annual conference? Oh,
for annual conference, That's a good question. I mean, because we're already so diverse. I mean, as I said, it may have been easier and to get the news out when we just did a newspaper. Now we do, social media, and we've got someone working on videos for the staff. We've got, the ways that we share it in so many different ways, and I think we're just going to continue to be more and more diverse and try to respond to all the different ways. Even just being with you today, I've learned a new way of what you're doing right here that I didn't know about. So we're going to have to keep listening and trying new things like Storify, like Spreaker, which is what you're doing.
That would be Spreaker, not Spreaker. Spreaker would be a whole other website.
Well, that could be a lot more fun too, couldn't it? But I do think we have to keep listening and keep trying, and not be. It's too easy to keep doing the same thing, and we can't do that. And we're going to fail, but we have to keep trying.
Well, looking back over your 16 years, is there one story that just sort of you say that was the story so far that sticks out in my mind as one of the maybe the not necessarily the greatest. It may have been on a sad kind of event or something, but one that really sticks with you. What?
There have been a lot, but when you said that, the thing that really and I can be critical of myself like a lot of other people, but I'll sometimes go back and look at some of the stuff I've done and think that really was good. And there was one story that I think that probably generated more response than any, because you can always get your fans and your friends to always tell you how great you are, but sometimes when people come out and they tell you how great something was, and they never compliment you, you might have done something right. It was a story about a soldier from Lebanon Memorial United Methodist Church, and he passed away in a combat situation. It was a real sad story, and it was difficult. Interviewed the mother, interviewed the pastor, who I think was Tony Collins, may have been involved in it, and it was powerful, and it stands today as one of the best, I think.
Well,
I was lucky to get to do it.
Well, that's sort of what you're. I refer to it as a ministry. It's more than a job what you do. It's a ministry. It's a ministry of love, a ministry of passion, and you're there to tell those stories. You're there to help us to see what you saw in that story, and apparently it made an impact on you. I don't remember the particular story, but it did for you, and that's what we in the local church need to deal with as well. We need to find ways to paint those stories for people in our communities and to help them understand what we're about as a church. You do it from the broad strokes of the annual conference, and I'm glad that you're there doing it. But I'm hoping that the local churches can learn to make those stories that will touch hearts within the church and the community as well, so that we can be about making disciples for Jesus Christ.
And to remind us of what we're supposed to be doing. We can spend an awful lot of time doing what we're not supposed to be doing, and we can get diverted so easily. And I think, I think about that a lot. When everybody wants to argue about a couple of different topics, I sometimes want to be the person out there reminding them of what it is we're supposed to be doing.
Sounds good to me. I appreciate you, and I've known you, for many years. She came down when I was in McKendree back in the early 2000s and did one on our popcorn ministry, and that still is a biggie in my mind, at least.
I remember that, yeah.
But thank you. Appreciate all the ministry that you do provide, and the leadership you provide to our conference in terms of getting the story out.
Thank you, Terry.
This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.